It's happening. Okay, so I press this, and I press this. Hi, Ivy. Okay, and I
Here we
post,
are.
and I post, and I pin.
And I press this. Hi, Ivy.
Why am I?
And
I need to pin it.
And I post. And I pin.
Pin comment. Okay. Woo.
Why am I need to...
Hey, you need to turn me down.
Yeah, I need to...
Not that everyone doesn't want to hear me twice, but
Yeah, I know.
hi, guys. Hi. Okay, so I'm driving today. Okay, no pressure. Hi. Welcome to Between Two Nerds, our little bi-weekly show that we do for NerdsVote, which is our thing about voting for nerds. We are your source for voter registration news, information, and education with a little smidge of chat with your favorite notable nerds, or vice versa. I'm Courtney Taylor.
And I'm JP Karliak.
And we are Between Two Nerds. Today, very exciting day. A couple things. Our action item, you need to make sure that you can vote from home, vote by mail. So check in our pinned comment. There's a little bit.ly in there, and you can party with us. Get that happening, because if you are in Kentucky, New York, Virginia, it's election day, and you have runoff elections in Mississippi, North Carolina, and South Carolina, and there's lines.
Yes.
There's lines.
Many lines.
So make sure, because if you're on the East Coast, TikTok, it's getting to be bedtime for voting, that you get out there. You can take your phone with you. You can watch this while you go. Bring your ID, a mask, some water, maybe a chair. Bring a friend. Socially distant. A book. What's that? What? Yeah. And just know that if you are in line when the polls close, they cannot deny you your right to vote. So get in line.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, we get in line for Black Friday. We get in line for a concert ticket. Well, back in the day, we got in line for a concert ticket. That was an old thing.
The new PS 20?
Yeah. If you don't have Fast Pass at amusement parks, you stand in all sorts of line for Space Mountain and whatever. You can do that. You can stand in line for your democracy.
Exactly. To make your voice heard. It's important. Now enough about us and about you and how important your vote is, because you know that already. Okay. I'm really excited. Don't do that. I hate it when you do that face, because then I get more nervous.
We're having fun. The excitement and the nervousness is fun.
It's great. What happens?
Get into it.
Do I look? I'm looking at the face at the bottom. There's nothing happening yet. Hold on. This is why I don't get to drive. Not yet. Okay. So, we're going to keep chatting for a second.
What's their screen name?
Ian. Oh, is Jackie here? Is Jackie Cox watching?
I know a few of Jackie's fans are. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thanks, guys. That was so awesome. Couple cool things, actually. We have a thing that we could probably chat about till they come on, until our guests come on. Don't we have a little thing, JP?
Oh, they're here. Hold on.
Oh, they're here. I don't know who they are.
Click on Rebecca, scroll up in the chat and click on Rebecca Sugar.
I love the way you say scroll.
Scroll.
You say scroll.
Scroll.
Yeah.
Scroll.
Scroll up in the chat.
Scroll up, and then is that wrong?
It's scroll. It's
All right.
scroll.
Did you click on her?
No, I can't find her. Hold on, this is why I don't get to... I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling, but there's so many people here for whatever...
Start from the bottom and scroll.
Oh, okay. Start from the bottom. Hi! Okay, go live. We're waiting. It's about to happen, guys. It's connecting.
Hey,
Hi!
how's it going?
So exciting! Oh my gosh. Okay,
Hello.
so you guys didn't know, our guests today are this is so exciting because this is the first time we've had two guests on at the same time. And the guests that we have on, in case you don't recognize these lovely folks, the one on the right, I think it's my right, was the animation director on The Venture Brothers, co-executive producer on Steven Universe, and executive producer and creator of OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, Ian Jones-Quarty.
Hello, everybody.
And on the other side, author of Pug Davis, writer and storyboard artist on Adventure Time, executive producer and creator of a little show called Steven Universe, cartoonist, songwriter, Rebecca Sugar. Woo! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Hey, everybody.
It's so good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, great to see you. I miss you so much. It's so crazy.
I know. Full disclosure, Ian is my friend and also was my boss on OKKO.
That's true. It's all out there now.
We pulled some strings. Yeah. This is so cool because we actually have not had two people on at the same time. So we're going to have to talk fast because I know people are going crazy. If you guys have questions for Rebecca and Ian, go ahead and put them in the question box and we will
yeah, give us your questions.
So we have lots of questions already. But just to kind of get everybody warmed up, how are you guys doing? You are also, not only are you're stuck in the same house for the last 3.5 months. How's that going?
Well, we actually, before this, we were both running shows at the same time. So we saw a lot less of each other than I would have liked.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's really nice. We're making up for a lot of living that we didn't get to do when we were very, very busy. And I really couldn't be luckier than to be in with Ian and our cat.
Yeah. Yeah, as crazy as it is, it's really nice to actually finally, after, I don't know, how many years of a marathon was that, running shows together? 7?
Yeah.
You're doing Steven for 7 years.
7, 8 with the pilot.
And I was doing KO on and off for like 5 years, pretty seriously. And yeah, we were very like, we would only see each other like when we're like super tired when we come home. So like we're actually getting like a lot of like quality time together, which is really, really nice.
That's great, and it's still working. I feel like this is everyone's posting about like, grr, my significant other, grr. And I'm like, it's great. This is the true test. If you can be in a house with somebody every day, all day for 3.5 months and counting.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe everyone should have to do that before they get married. I don't know.
I mean, luckily we already did get married last year. So
yeah, we got married.
That's right. You did
in December. Yeah.
So thank goodness we did that.
Yeah. Thank God.
Well, we have a question in the chat.
Yes, please.
Honeymoon.
Honeymoon. We didn't get to go on it.
So I finished Steven Universe on March 13th, which was the same day that they started lockdown and wouldn't let anybody back in the studio. And we had planned to go on our honeymoon right after I was done with the show.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to.
Yeah, we didn't get to go. So this is kind of our honeymoon, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I put up a little we were playing a lot of Animal Crossing. And
yeah.
I was like, our honeymoon in Animal Crossing, but that was very literal.
That was real.
We actually
did
it on Animal Crossing instead. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking.
Well, it may not be the honeymoon that you wanted, but
it's the honeymoon you needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
You can save the money so that you can go somewhere really.
That's true.
Yeah, I was really worried when I was finishing the show that the second I was done, I just wouldn't leave the house and wouldn't see any of my friends, because I'd been working for so long, and everyone I knew I would see at work. So I've really had to face that head on. No, this is not. This is everyone is in this boat. It's just the timing was very surreal.
It's true. Yeah.
Were you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JP.
I was going to say, you've spent such a long period of time with Steven. Does it, I mean, like when finishing the show, this is like that had a ton, thing after letting that go. Did it feel like a release? Did it feel particularly sad? Like what kind of emotional journey did you go through? Tell us.
Well, I think the hardest thing about it was that we didn't get to celebrate with any of the crew in person. So we all found each other on Discord. We watched the final episode air together.
Yeah.
But we couldn't, even on our last day, we couldn't be together. And
yeah, literally, we were like cleaning out your office, and it was like the quarantine is starting right now.
Yeah, it was like nobody coming on Monday.
Nobody,
So that was really strange because everyone really wanted to. The way it is at the end of the show, different stages roll off at different times, and there are people who worked on Steven Universe that didn't work on Future, that sort of went on hiatus before the movie, and then ended up on different projects. So like we never really got to have any sort of conclusive event for the show or for Future, and so we had planned like a big wrap party where everyone was going to see each other, and it would be for the show, and it would be for the movie, and it would be for Future. Like everyone would finally be together, even in ways that they hadn't been together at work. So not being able to do that was really strange. But on the other hand, I've been talking to a lot of people one-on-one, and it's really in the cases where I wasn't sure if something was sort of a work relationship or a friendship relationship, it's become really crystal clear to me how many really great friends that I made over the course of the show, of every iteration of the show, who I'm still seeing and talking to constantly, regardless of whether or not we're celebrating anything show related. And so that's been amazing to know. I don't think I could have known that until now. That we would really stay together, even across all the different places that we went. So that's been really moving, and I'm just excited to stay in touch with everyone for the rest of my life. Really, knowing that now.
Thank God for Zoom, I have to say, because it really has been like I think I would be on the ceiling if I wasn't able to. Like, I can't imagine what people did during polio or the Spanish flu, or where you were truly isolated. Now people they're like, this sucks, and you're like, you're eating Cheetos and watching every TV show that's ever been made, and you get to like actually talk to your friends in your hand. But it is so like it's so natural for us in times of like this, where you want to connect with people, and especially at the end of a show that you've worked together. I mean, certainly, Ian can speak to that too with OKKO. You feel like you do things for a certain way for so many like years, and this is like your baby and all your friends, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and to mourn that, it's natural to want to be around people, and we can't.
I know it is tough, but the silver lining is that it's given everybody it's given us all an excuse to catch up with people and check in on people, and just say hi to people who we haven't talked to in a while. So that's really nice.
I think the finale to OKKO, thank you for watching the show. To me, we had celebrations with staff, but that episode in and of itself is such a beautiful celebration of what the show was. I can't watch it without bursting into tears. I've never seen something capture the feeling of charging through a production and not being able to hold on to any moment of it, but wanting to be able to remember all of it, and that's a conflict that I hadn't seen in anything until you captured it. So
thank you.
Well, take over, GP, just for a second. It's too soon, because I know, I feel it is.
So there was a great question in the chat. I think I'm going to butcher this. I think their handle was Pinart, where they asked Rebecca, what is your favorite OKKO character, and Ian, what is your favorite Steven Universe character?
Oh man, oh, that's tough. Well, it's not that tough.
I can go first.
Okay.
Okay. My favorite Steven Universe character is Jasper, for sure. I like all of them, but I really like Jasper. When you guys were starting Future, I came to like I came to the brainstorm meeting, and like almost everything I was talking about was Jasper related.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What about
But
you?
what
What's your
was it
favorite?
about Jasper?
Oh,
The training stuff, and also
yeah, Jasper's
being
training
being in the
stuff.
woods. That's something you wanted for probably
Yeah.
5 years.
And just the fact that she's just a really cool character. Kimberly Brooks does the voice, and she's so funny. And the way that she turns on that voice is it's so great. The character changed a lot too with the way that Kimberly did the reads and stuff.
Right. Yeah, we started just writing towards
what
the
would
character
be
she created.
fun coming out of her mouth, and yeah, it was just a character I just really I will always go for the rival who respects you but can't say it. Those are always like my favorite characters. So yeah.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite OKKO character?
I mean, it's got to be Rad.
Oh,
he's my husband. So, but I love Rad, and I don't know how much I can disclose here, but there are elements of Rad that I know are true about Ian that he wouldn't normally admit, but is able to admit through this character.
give us
Subtle
one.
things like anyone, like the fact that you love our cat.
Yes, that's true.
There's a lot of stuff about how Rad loves cats and doesn't really want to admit it. That is true.
That's true. I do love him. He was here before. He left. He doesn't care about us.
It's not mutual.
No.
Well, he's happy that we've been.
Yeah, he's happy.
He likes it when we're both in one place.
That's true. Yeah.
And he can sit in a way where he's got like an arm on one of us and a foot on the other. So he's
that's
really,
his favorite thing.
He's been really happy that we're both.
Yeah, it's been worth it. Yeah.
But he's like a dog cat because that's a total dog thing.
Yeah. He is.
He's
Yeah. He comes when we like call him and stuff. Sometimes.
Sometimes
Still
that's
a
the cat part.
I mean, he's still a cat. Let's
He's
not
still
get
a
crazy
cat.
here.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You need to be on your toes at all times. Take nothing for granted.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about your shows, and one of the reasons that we're so happy to have you guys during Pride Month, is just the wonderful themes that both of you explored in your respective shows, just in gorgeous and beautiful ways, inspiring so many children and us, for the adults that are fans and watching, and
of which there are so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. From positive representations of queer families and people, and mental health issues, and just so many wonderful things. I was curious, as you go forward into your next project, which I'm not going to badger you to tell us what they are.
So guys, if you're in the chat asking, we can't ask them that. These rules. They can't say.
But what themes did you maybe not get a chance to explore that you'd love to explore in future work? And what are themes that you're like, these will always be a part of my creative work?
Well, I don't know if I can speak for both of us, but for me, what was important on Steven and KO was telling an authentic story, that reflected the values of the people who worked on the show. Within this industry, I work with, you work with people from all across, every spectrum. And what we both were seeking to do is to let ourselves and the people we work with tell their real human stories without trying, without covering them up or censoring them or trying to make them perfect and neat and beautiful. We just wanted people to be able to kind of to get to express, things that happen in their lives and things that happen to us and things that happen to our friends in like an honest way. I feel like, when we think about like the representation question, I think the truest way is to just really be true to the experiences of everybody who worked on the show. And that was true, about Stephen from the beginning,
right,
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. When we went into it, my big line to everybody that was coming onto the show is that I wanted everything to be very specific and very observed. And a lot of people sort of coming into animation, and also a lot of the fights I would have early on, is that the idea of what a joke is something that there's a lot about readability, like something you just need to understand that what you saw is a joke. You need to understand that what you're looking at is a living room. And as people working on other shows, sometimes they would like draw a cat into the background, and it would be like, oh, no cats, because that's distracting. Like everything has to just be generic enough to read.
Right.
And so on Stephen, I was like, forget all of that. Every specific thing you want to include about your childhood, about what you're interested in right now, let's find a spot for it.
Yeah.
Let's make it part of the story, and it won't be distracting from the story because it will be what the story is. Like, let's get really, really into all the little details of our lives instead of ignoring them. Even to the background department.
Right.
We did a bunch of research going to the actual beaches that the place was based on. Bethany Beach, a little ocean city. These are Delaware beaches that me and my brother used to visit when we were kids, and we wanted to get all the little ideas there. We didn't want to omit anything because it wasn't useful. Like every curling telephone wire and every sticker on a window. We wanted to get all those little details in there.
Right.
So
and
every department.
Yeah, and you know this really well, Courtney, is that when you're working on a creative thing, the end result is always better when you can incorporate things about the people who are working to make it. When you can incorporate talents they have or things they can do, like once we know that, like, as an actress, that you can deliver a line a certain way or do something, we all start to think, well, like, what are our strengths that we can use together? And I think that being able to represent like a lot of different races, genders, sexualities, identities, that all comes from a real like heartfelt place from all the people who we work with. And I think we couldn't live with ourselves if we did any less than that.
For the team,
yeah.
The crew,
and us,
the crew makes the show. So, and we both really understood that from working on other shows and being given some of that freedom on Adventure Time. And so we really wanted to find a home for all of our stories.
Absolutely.
And do you feel like, I know that Rebecca, you sort of came in, I was reading a little bit about sort of Cartoon Network before Steven Universe and now, and obviously your show kind of kicked open the door for representations of marriage that were sort of tiptoed around. How, and I don't know if you could say this, but like, how difficult of a fight was that? Because that's a pretty major pivot point for a studio that's was it like knockdown drag out, or did you just have to get out of like a laser pointer and
the thing is that
tough.
It was years. It was years and years of slowly working towards it. I mean, we set up Ruby and Sapphire back in 2011, 2012 when we were working on the pilot, knowing that that was the only way to get this story in, and we understood that by the time we didn't get to introduce them until 52 episodes into the show, but we knew that by then they couldn't take them out. I mean, we had to like set that up so far in advance.
So it was a sleeper cell situation.
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of was.
It had to be. I mean, when I started doing this, really back on Adventure Time, in 2010.
Right.
Don't Ask, Don't Tell was still a national policy. I mean, there was just no. We were trying to figure out at the time when I was doing some of the early Marceline Bubblegum stuff. The thing that excited me about that was pitching that they could have been in a relationship in the past. That way, they could allude to it, and it could be canon.
Yeah.
Even if we couldn't show it happening in real time. But
Yeah.
by the time that I was working on Steven Universe, fusion became a way, because I was like, I want to write about a relationship that's actually happening.
Right.
And not just something that happened in the past. Like I want to find a way
to talk about
it in real time. And so really a lot of fusion, the fusion angle of the show was a way to be able to do that at a time when we couldn't. And then once we had introduced them as characters, that's when people really started to understand what we were doing. And so that's when we started to face a lot of pushback, which we slowly dealt with. They were supposed to, there was actually a wedding episode. We'd started writing the wedding episode in 2015. And it was noted up and rejected.
And you know, I really want to make sure that people understand like how long of a fight and how hard of a fight this was. Even before the wedding episode, I mean, like, I remember, like, in response to a fan question, I tweeted, yeah, Ruby and Sapphire are in love, and they could identify, you could see them as two women in love, and, like, there were meetings about this, there were, like, it was, like, a huge, like, deal, like, they were telling me, like, you can't say this stuff, you know, we're not allowed to, like, do any of this. It was, like, a huge, huge thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that wasn't possible at that time.
And you had to, like, fight, like, really hard. Like, we used to get notes that were, like, you know, they would say, like, this isn't appropriate. And we would have to be like, please show us, like, the drawing that you don't like. Like the specific drawing that you think is so bad. And it would be like, you know, like Ruby and Sapphire like holding hands or something like that. Like we even drew a poster where Ruby and Sapphire were supposed to be like
they're dancing with each other.
And then they made us like change it and rejected. You know, it was so much stuff.
It was long. It was just a very long time kind of and the fact that people could still tell what we were doing and were appreciating it is so much a part of this story.
Yeah.
It's really thanks to fan support. So much of this is due to fan support because we found our way to get them out, and then there was a period of time where we couldn't actually say what we were doing, but everyone could understand that, and the love for those characters made it impossible to ignore that this is something that people wanted, and there was no way to prove that.
Yeah.
There weren't very many ways to prove that beforehand because this has been systematically blocked from existing. So,
all the people tweeting and writing and like making articles about it and like, you know, really helped us out because then we had proof that this was something that not only did people notice, but they actually were asking us for, and that it wasn't a bad thing, and that we can take a risk on showing this. I mean, I say risk, but like that.
No, it's right. It's not. It's
that
just
they could take a risk on showing, you know, this relationship and not be scared that people were gonna like leave the show or something.
Right. I think that also, a lot of this was happening in 2015, and around that time, same-sex marriage was a debate, and a lot of that debate was, it wasn't yet legal, and a lot of that debate was, what will children think if we say that this is acceptable? Which, of course, we're on the side of, it's absolutely acceptable, and of course, children should
They'll be like, there's my mom and mom. Awesome.
Exactly.
Yes, it makes absolute
sense.
Exactly.
Those kids exist.
But everyone was sort of embroiled in this debate that I don't think should have been a debate at all. And luckily, well, not luckily, but thanks to this is relevant to NerdsVote, but thanks to everyone taking huge strides as activists.
Yeah.
And thanks to political progress, we won this human right. And that had so much to do also with our ability to then show that in a program for children. So I think that's another thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to, as much as I appreciate the conversation about representation in media and in children's media, these strides that are happening have so much to do with us being represented, in government and politically.
Absolutely. And just
and what we're doing within our communities to protect LGBTQIA rights. I mean, that movement allowed us to do this.
And
So
and just talking about cartoons, just to, you know, really just like throw down the hammer here. It was Steven Universe for sure that changed this. This was at least within Cartoon Network, and I've heard things about other studios too. I know for sure that it was the strides made by Steven Universe that changed this. I know this because on KO has a lot of queer characters, but the first time we wrote about like a specifically queer relationship, it was an episode called Back in Red Action, where Ashley Birch and Callie Hawk were playing Enid in Red Action, and they were like going on a date. When we wrote the first episode, like, we got all these notes. They called us into a meeting. They were telling us, we can't do this. You can't show this. You can't show these two characters being romantic. And we had to like fight just to get like the little bit of queer romance that we could get. But then you guys did the wedding episode. You guys blew the door open. And then the next time we did a Red Action episode, we got no notes. It went through fine. They didn't bother us at all. Like, it was, and you have to understand how damaging getting notes like that. I mean, like, there were people on my crew who were in relationships that were reflected in these characters. And when you're getting notes from like your bosses telling you this isn't allowed, that's like really damaging to those people. And it was due to the stride specifically that Steven Universe did, was that then we got to finally show queer romance or have characters that identified different. Craig of the Creek got to have non-binary kid characters and show characters in different romances. The doors were blown open by the work, that you did. So.
Well, thank you. But that's like, there were so many of us that were really dedicated to fighting this fight. I mean, we were able to kick that down, but the work that they were doing on Clarence, the work that you were doing on OKKO, I mean, it wasn't just clear that audiences wanted this content. It was also clear internally
that
we as artists wanted to make this.
Yeah.
And that really made such a difference, because it's at a certain point, we're making our art, and for it to be the best art it can be, it has to be coming from a personal place. And everyone sort of has to understand that, especially when they're asking you not to do your best work, not to do your most personal work. When you're there offering it up, that's that's something that's really incredible for any artist to do.
But to go back again, that is why voting is important. People actually taking that voice to their government and changing the law of the land so that same-sex marriage was legal. That was like a huge hurdle for people to overcome. And once that was true, it was so much easier for us to say, look, this is the law. This is just allowed. If you don't let us put it in the show, then what are you saying?
Yeah. When we were writing Jailbreak in 2014, and that wasn't true, it was just no go.
Yeah.
But it became harder and harder to say no when it was a clear human rights violation.
Yeah.
And everybody, had come down on that side of it. And the other thing too, that I really appreciate, since there's so many people here who have watched the show, a lot of the fighting that I was doing behind the scenes. I mean, when you make an episode of animation, it doesn't come out. You write it, and then it takes a whole year to produce it and finish it and have it air on television. So in 2014, when we were writing a lot of Ruby Sapphire stories and working on the seasons where we were introducing them, and I was receiving a lot of this feedback, I was in a really rough place, because it didn't come out until a year later. And ultimately, when people responded so positively to it and gave so much support to us, my life was truly transformed.
Yeah.
Because before that had happened, being told that on such a regular basis that this could be a problem, that I could be a problem, that what I wanted to do, but also who I am,
also who you are,
could be an obstacle to the show even continuing to exist. It was just really painful. And then to have everyone come out in support of this, I mean, I didn't know that would happen, because there had been nothing like this.
We didn't know. Yeah.
I felt I wanted very selfishly, and I had no way to know that that wasn't just something that I wanted, that we wanted internally, and so really it's just an entirely different life now. Also, to be able to be out as a human.
Yeah.
The show and myself. It's a radically different life, and I really appreciate the support so much. I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful to everyone that's here that helps us with that. Thank you.
Well, it's, it all dovetails beautifully in that, familiarity is what gets change made, right? So when you're seeing things, especially on television, which is in your living room, I feel like that is so much more powerful than other kinds of media, because these folks are in your home, and so you get a different reaction as somebody who acts on television than you do in movies, and
Right.
and so I think it's such a key piece of media to promote equality, and I wondered, because working on OKKO, it didn't seem like there was a ton of stuff. It was more about healthy snacks on the table or whatever. Things they choose.
That's important too.
That is also
carrots,
important.
not popcorn.
Yeah.
I really
Healthy snacks are important, kids.
I really love what
Okay.
I really love what OKKO has to say about managing anger. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think and emotional health and mental health. There's such a beautiful message, especially with KO and TKO, that I think is so beautifully handled, and also was a huge inspiration for Steven Universe Future. You can definitely see things in OKKO that were inspired by the time we spent together on Future, but or time we spent together on Steven Universe.
Yeah,
as
that's
a series
true.
when we ran it together. But then Future was the only series written after I got to be inspired by what you were doing on OKKO.
Thank you.
And I think that also, KO, in terms of like healthy snacks, I think that KO's healthy.
Well, you guys both,
I mean,
what you've done between the two of you has been huge for mental health. Both shows handling it, and like that was my favorite part of OKKO, was that you really portrayed the beauty of, as a kid, I 1000% remember having emotions that were too big for my body. Like feelings that were too big, that were unmanageable, like, just anger and happiness and a lot of frustration. And so to put that forward, as well as you, Rebecca, I mean, you guys are the perfect couple in many ways, artistically, and you're adorably cute together as well. But that single, double-handedly, you guys have really changed things for people. The feedback about being able to see your two moms, or somebody who's non-binary, or, a kid trying to manage that feeling of there's no place to put this stuff, is incredible. That's not the stuff that we were watching when I was a kid.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for that. It's really important.
Thank you so much. I think, we're both big believers in sort of telling the truth through the medium, and keeping it very personal. So, and I think, at least sort of speaking for myself, dreaming of being a cartoonist, I navigated like a lot of anger trying to break into this industry, because the odds were not great. There were a lot of obstacles that I recognized weren't obstacles for everybody, and I think finding an outlet in the medium for those feelings has been really healing for me. I don't know about you, but that's been
no, absolutely.
That's made a big difference.
Yeah.
In my life. Your performance.
And I think sorry, there's a delay, and sometimes I
know, I'm sorry.
The authenticity that you guys bring to this, both through your own stories and also through that of the rest of the crew and cast who are bringing this, it's so obvious as compared to, those very marketed, very placed queer representations, or representations of other issues or racial diversity or something, where it just feels like a whole group of people around a boardroom table were like, let's do this, and it doesn't come from that real and beautiful, authentic place.
Yeah. Right.
We tried. I think that was definitely a goal for both of us, to make sure that it felt, that these characters felt real, like we weren't just throwing in stuff just to throw it in, that it was like reflective of like us as people and the people who wrote it and the people who acted it and everything. So so thanks so much.
I did find, I think it's interesting, as I was working on Adventure Time, and then also ultimately when I was working on Steven, it became obvious to me that there were certain expectations about what I was going to write that had nothing to do with reality.
Right.
And there's a lot of content that's been made, like, about marginalized characters, about female characters, or maybe even about queer characters, but that wasn't actually written by people who had that experience. And so there's this idea of the story that we were going to tell that really had nothing to do with, I mean, if you think of something like a sort of female-led story, like, not that I'm non-binary, so that doesn't really apply. But really, the thing you should think about is Frankenstein.
Yeah,
before
Frankenstein.
you think about Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like, when I always think about that scene in Cinderella, which is so beautiful, where her dress is transforming on her body, and that was animated by Mark Davis, who's an absolute genius. But this moment that's captured, these ideas of these demure Disney princesses, these were animated by men, they were written by men, they were drawn by men, and they're beautiful, but they really have nothing to do with what a marginalized artist might have to say about their experience. And when you look at the things that do, they tend to be really probing, interesting stories that have very little to do with transforming into an extremely attractive outfit, which is also amazing. Like, I like both things a lot.
There's room for everything, but
there's
absolutely. One of the things I loved about Steven Universe is that also that you have people in there, characters in there that I literally am like, I know that's every like Berkeley dad that I grew up around. That's these characters are so familiar, and I think like KO also, with Carol, like that idea of she's a working mom, and she's literally an ass kicker, and I think those stories too are really important to show. That who you've got at home is important, and I wonder, obviously these are very strange times. And I just want to touch a little bit on, you guys are supportive of artists coming up now that are, people of color, women. And if you just could talk a little bit about that and how you want to put that out into the universe and kind of, no pun intended, and how you're doing that.
Yeah. I mean, that was always something that was a huge priority for us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that's becoming a conversation that a lot of studios are having, because that was it was difficult to make that happen. I mean, before.
Yeah, because when we were starting Steven, the way that some people would talk about the show, it was almost like, oh, this is a great show despite the fact it's not made by a man, and so like
it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, like, I started working at Cartoon Network 10 years ago, and streaming had only really just started, and by the time they were picking up the show, like, people weren't excited about different voices.
No,
that wasn't a thing.
That wasn't a thing
at the time. It was sort of like, we hope you'll be able to do this correctly.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that. The attitude was.
Yeah.
But they still, they understood our artistry. We had been working on other projects.
Mm-hmm. And I think
I gotta wait another 20 years before I really tell these.
Yeah, there's stories. We could tell some stories. We're not gonna go there because it's gonna get really depressing.
Yeah.
But the outcome of all of this is that when we were making our shows, we were able to prioritize just the artistic voices that we knew, just because, it was something we learned very early on. When you have so many different voices in the room, the stories get better. There were so many stories that, like when we would pitch episodes, we would invite everyone we could who was like around to come and give us notes, because you never know what someone is going to see that maybe you have a blind spot on.
Right.
And I think that one of the things that people are finally waking up to is having a writer's room or design staff or an executive crew who have different points of view and maybe come from different backgrounds is, at the end of the day, so much more helpful than it is. It seems like it's going to be really messy, and it is messy sometimes.
Well, in the way that intersectionalism is.
Yeah, being intersectional is messy, but like at the end of the day, you're going to be glad that someone on your crew called out something that could have been like a big problem, and you didn't know, like you didn't understand, and I think people are finally waking up to that.
I think part of what I've really seen too, like early on when we were starting Steven, we really built the premise around the fact that it was going to be about a group of very different people all interacting together. It was going to be about this family that came together from these wildly different places and sort of slowly unveiling how different each of their experiences were.
Right.
And so we had to set up a writer's room, and we had to set up a crew that would make sense for a story like that. And I think that when people don't quite understand what's possible, it's because they might be telling stories that aren't built to facilitate that.
Yeah.
And it really, it doesn't just come, it comes down, I mean, it really should be hiring practices, but also conceptually, everyone really needs to change their mindset to create stories about those interactions so that people can then write about them. Otherwise, you're just bringing people together and just squashing them out of being able to do their best work. And I keep coming back to that, but it's like our best work is our honest work. If we aren't talking about our own lives, and then also the dynamic that we developed when we were together. And this also extends to every department. It's so much about the cast. I wanted all of the gems to have, well, firstly to have the rapport sort of the characters, but then also we started to just base the characters off the cast, which, I know.
It always happens in some way.
Yeah. It's like, so really from the ground up, the premise, the philosophy has to be about making a home for really, really different artists to be able to share with each other. And then the results of that is everybody grows. And that's also, I wanted the show to be about growth so that we could all grow.
Yeah, everyone
artists.
gets better when you're exposing your ideas to oxygen, when you're meeting people who have different ideas from you, when you're constantly confronting your own biases and really trying to understand what somebody else's thoughts and feelings are. You get better at your job. They get better at their job. We work better together. We create better art. The audience gets a better cartoon.
Yeah,
it's like win-win.
You get to be a better person.
That's true.
Just out in the world, you have more empathy and more curiosity. So that's always a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's very meta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Art and life.
Yeah, it's true.
There's been quite...
As far as to kind of dovetail back with what Rebecca was talking about earlier, of the representation within our government and being able to hear different ideas and confront your own biases and everything. That all, I mean, it applies in any workplace, but for our purposes, it really applies to our government as well. So for everybody that's still watching, there are elections that are happening today, and you might, if you're on the East Coast, you probably only have a couple hours, but you've probably heard that there are lines and there is craziness and it is difficult to be able to get your vote heard. Make sure that you visit the link at the bottom of our little screen here, bit.ly/nerdsathome, so you can register to get an absentee ballot so you can vote safely, comfortably, and on time.
That's right.
Your own home.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's going to be essential for November.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca and Ian, the question that we love to ask everybody is, come November, who are you voting for? And when we ask that, we don't mean which candidate. We're a nonpartisan organization. But who are the people that you will be keeping in mind that you want your ballot to be able to affect?
Right.
Right.
Well, I just really feel like, I love this so much because it's really important for everybody to, like, have your voice heard and go vote. Honestly, like, it's up to you. You can make your choice what you want. And it's honestly kind of fun because, you realize that you have a voice and you can say stuff. You can research the people. It becomes like a way to get interested in, like, the real world that's going on outside. Speaking for myself, I'm mostly just looking for, in not just presidential election, but also, like, all my local elections, people who have
Which are just as important.
yeah, people who have just who value the voice of people who are unheard, or people who are really sticking their necks out for people who can't have that voice. It's really hard right now because of the way our system works. Really, people with more money get to have, like, a bigger voice, and we really need to prioritize the people who look at that system and realize that there are unheard people because of that. Not everybody has the time to, get in line all day and vote. So we have to make sure that we all vote for the people who are looking out for those people who can't make it.
Right.
But yeah, that's what's important to me.
Yeah.
Standing up for the little guy.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like the most broadly, I will be voting for our future. And one thing I see that excites me about the way people are talking about the progressive movement that's happening is that we the people, we really want to invest in a better future.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's being blocked in so many ways, and we need to step up and do something to ensure that education is a high priority, that climate change is a high priority, that we'll have a world to live in. These we have to do something about the absolutely horrendous immigration policies that are hurting real human beings, and we have to look at the children that are being affected negatively by current policy and think about their futures and how we're going to protect them.
Yeah.
Because the kind of traumatic experiences they're having now will be a part of their adult lives. This is something that has been so much of the art that I want to make lately. We need to ensure that future generations will be protected from the kind of hardship that they're going through right now as children. That has to stop. And so, yeah, I'll be voting for a future where we're investing in communities, where and in every sense across the board. I've voted in sort of local elections here where we live in California, for investing in schools, and then seeing those votes get shot down. And I just can't understand it. Like, we need to invest in our communities, invest in mental health for everyone, invest in healthcare for all. I really think that everything that could create a better future, one where we all feel safer to just be here, that's priority.
It's tough because we really need people who are willing to make the tough sacrifices today so that we can all live better in the future. And I don't want to vote for anybody who wants to just keep kicking that can down the road. We need people who want to make those direct and difficult actions right now to make things better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to underscore, in case some of you guys just were joining us after that, Ian and Rebecca were really talking about how the legality of same-sex marriage allowed them to write a lot of the stories that you guys love them for. So art and politics do have an intersection, and because these things aren't legal, there's no, literally, laws that aren't inclusive prevent this kind of art and the people that you love from working. So
Sure.
when you think it doesn't affect you, or if you're just at voting age and you're not sure, what kind of choices to make, think about the people who make the art that you love, and what are they like? What
Absolutely.
gender, what ethnicity and race, and because these are people that years ago, women just in the last 10 years haven't been making, have only now started to be viable showrunners for the shows that you guys love. So really think about that too, because this stuff is personal to you and you might not realize it.
I think also, look, just a few days ago, the fact that the Supreme Court has finally ruled that you can't discriminate based on someone's sexual orientation, the entire time that I was working on Steven Universe, that was not true.
Yeah.
And I felt that every single day. I understood, and I was afraid to speak publicly because I didn't know how that would affect my job. That changed a few days ago.
Just a few days ago. Yeah.
That is just unbelievable. Yeah. And in order to protect artists and to protect everyone, these changes have got to be fought for and made and protected because people want to change that back.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just have
the Equal Rights Amendment is still not been ratified, guys, and it's 2020.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I think the interesting cycle of all of it is that the lack of that ruling threatens us, all of us that are identified in some form of queer, and while at the same time the art that we're presenting out there, as Boss Baby, I love to be able to put out into the world that yes, the guy that it was played by Alec Baldwin, voiced by a queer, a multicolored haired dude. So it's the representation that we're putting out there that changes minds, that normalizes what's happening, not in a bad way, like in a positive way. That
familiarity.
Yeah, it's if you're living in a small town where you don't have the opportunity to know a trans person or a queer person or what have you, the one that you see on the show, the one that you see on Steven Universe or She-Ra or OKKO or Loud House or whatever, that's the one. That's the one that you grow up and say, Mommy, who is that? I like who that person is. And,
absolutely.
Those are the minds that change, that allow us to get to the point where Supreme Court starts to think, even the conservative ones, maybe at this point we're on the wrong side of history if we go against this.
Yeah. I think, it's just true. We're all in this together. So,
Oh, you guys, I'm so bummed. We only have 90 seconds left, and I'm terrified it's going to cut us off. So please come back. Let's do this again. You guys are fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you so much for making the time to come on the show.
Thank you, guys.
We generally kind of leave the show with it's usually voice actors and they do a key phrase or something, but you can send us off with anything to do with the importance of voting. You could do rad, you could sing, whatever you want.
Let's see. Man, I haven't done the rad voice in a while. I guess it's kind of just my normal voice, but it's a little different. I haven't to get into it. What would Rad say about
Not to put you on the spot. You can send us off with anything.
Best part of the job. He would just be like, hey, little man, you got to get out there and vote. I don't exactly know what we're voting for, but you got to do it. I think it's for president of the universe or something. Anyway, doesn't matter. Just do it. I don't care who you vote for. Please do it.
Awesome. So great having you.
Thank you, guys.
Hold on. There's something in the chat. Someone wants Rad to say this. Oh, yeah. Also, little bro, Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. We'll have you on the show again soon. We need to
thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Courtney.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hit us up at nerdsvote.com for more information about what we do.